I'll pursue it that way.
I hate to be the first.
My husband and I are beekeepers, and this is in regards to the mosquito spray and how, I want to explain how our bees are right now, and that is they're very healthy. We're in a very big pollen and nectar flow right now. This is their last time to collect before the winter time. All of the beekeepers have their honey supers on their hives right now. So with the intense heat that we have right now, the bees do not go inside their hives at night. They actually stay on the outside of the hives to stay cool. And then they rotate and they cool the entranceway in order to keep the brood happy. So if a spray came over us, they would make contact with the bees. Keep in mind that as a beekeeper, things like this are very sensitive. If some of our bees get killed, it will jeopardize the hive and weaken them. They will die later over the winter time from starvation, and there's other things that are involved in that as well. A simple solution of 14 ounces of water with a squirt of Dawn dish detergent will kill a bee. We use that for bees that have gone rogue or gotten a little angry. We use that to kill them on the spot to prevent them from attacking people. So we are concerned. If some of the bees get hit with a spray, they will bring it inside the hive. The bees are very clean. They don't even put it inside their hives. So if somebody brings in a little bit of chemical on their wings, the other bees will come and lick it off. When they do that, then it just keeps going into the hive as well. So again, the bees are out foraging right now, trying to make as much honey as possible before the winter time. And as beekeepers, this is our last time that we get to harvest before spring. I can go on about the bees, but something recently has happened. I've been directly affected by these sprays. One with the bees, one with my own family. Recently, my son and my husband went on a camping trip in a county park. And at night, there's 150 youth running around at night. They were hit 3 times by a low-flying helicopter with the spray, and the entire group was covered in the spray. Several of the children have become sick. Some of them have gone to the doctor. There's a lot of symptoms that I can list, but I don't want to take up my 3 minutes. In additional, there was 10 different sprays used for the evening for protection. Some of them including DEET. None of them affected the mosquitoes. None of the sprays. They were still bitten. And after the after the helicopter went over the youth group, the mosquitoes were still the same. There was no effect at all, and the mosquitoes were still out in droves, biting the children. That's it.
You are at time, but however, I would like to ask you a question, since we have not had an aerial spraying in Osceola County since last year.
Okay.
What county park are you saying was, that was not in Osceola County?
That was not in Osceola County, but it remains the same. Thank you.
Well, I have one more question. First, I didn't get to ask you this, so I'm going to email back and forth. You said the bees are active now.
Yes.
What point do they shut down?
Well, they're very active in the mornings and all throughout the day collecting the pollen and nectar. But they come home, most of them come back to the hives right when the sun comes down. They don't shut down.
Until spring. You said spring is starting in, so
that's nature. When the bloom and the nectar stops, it really depends. Right now we have Brazilian pepper, we have golden rain tree, and a couple of other that's going. And Brazilian pepper just started. And depending on where the Brazilian pepper is up to how far away they are. It could be like this, these trees are doing it now, these trees aren't yet, so it can be months.
I am here speaking on behalf of many people in both counties. I consider this my home. I've been born and raised in Orlando my entire life. I just wanted to touch on the same topic. I second everything that the woman that just spoke, the beekeeper, about those issues. I do not consent to the spraying of any Naled for the Zika virus. And I also want to touch on the genetically modified mosquitoes. Now I know that, like you said, the spraying hasn't happened here, but I think that the spraying and the possibility of the genetically modified mosquitoes could be coming down the pipeline. I want you to just at least look into this. There's a British company called Oxitec that has been trying to push these genetically modified mosquitoes in Florida, specifically in the Keys. They have been caught lying multiple times. They were called out in hearings and had to admit that they lied about releasing females. They said there weren't going to be females released, and there was actually, they were going to release one in every 1,500. Then they said, well, the females will not survive past adulthood, and they were caught again lying and called out in a meeting on that as well. So this company cannot be trusted. It seems like they are driven by profits over the health and safety of the citizens of Florida. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. And there are also many alternatives to this that don't have unforeseen, unintended consequences that the Naled and the genetically modified mosquitoes may have. There's something called Wolbachia. That's Wolbachia. This is a natural alternative that can, we wouldn't have to be using this spraying on people without their consent, and we wouldn't have to roll out a new species of this genetically modified mosquito with unintended consequences if we explore the option of Wolbachia. The University of Kentucky is working on this, so if you'd like to look into that further, please feel free to. And if you would like any other information on genetically modified mosquitoes, this British company, Oxitec, or the alternative solution, Wolbachia, I'd be glad to send you that information. And thank you for your time today.
I'm a city employee in St. Cloud. I also coordinate the urban agriculture program. So I have a commercial spray applicator's license, which doesn't mean too much, really. But I can read the label, so as some of us may or may not know, that this chemical's been sprayed in Osceola County for years and years and years. And the issue has come up, to my awareness, just in the last week because of some issues that happened in North Carolina and in South Florida, mainly with the bees. They sprayed at the wrong time of day. Some fish die off, things like that. So it caused me to look into the chemical and pull up the material safety data sheet, which I'm not sure if any of y'all have looked at. I have an extra one if was interested in looking at it. But a few things that I tend to look at right off the bat is the signal word, which is kind of like the big word they put on the top. There's 3 different signal words. There's either caution, warning, or danger. Caution is means that it's slightly toxic if eaten. Warning means that it has moderate toxicity if eaten or absorbed through the skin or some other mode of ingestion. And danger means that it's highly toxic by at least 1 round of exposure. And this is a danger chemical, which means it has to say poison on the label, which isn't too out of the norm. But something to look at, if contacted skin or clothing, rinse skin immediately with plenty of water for 15 to 20 minutes, which is quite a while. If inhaled, which this is aerial spray, very, very fine particles, and talking to the mosquito control, Osceola County mosquito control, they told me, it's very diluted, so don't worry, it's not we're spraying it, and the concentrate on here, which is a relative term, diluted, and I'm not an expert on it, but it's very the personal protection equipment that you have to wear for the applicator requires a respirator mask with a pre-filter. If you're spraying Roundup, it doesn't even require a dust mask. And I wouldn't spray Roundup and breathe it in. I don't know if any of you would. So, something that requires a respirator mask with a pre-filter is a high level of to me. And it's being blanket sprayed across the county, and it kills bugs on contact. So it kills any bug that comes in contact with, but there's a lot of very crucial little tiny species that live all across the county. To me, it's just one of these things that's come to our awareness. It's becoming an issue across the country. It's probably going to be banned at some point. It's going to be something we look back on in 40 years and say, oh my God, we lined pipes with lead back then? Didn't know anything. Well, we can see the warning signs now. It's kind of coming up. So it's probably something we're going to be looking at soon. And there's other alternatives. Orlando hasn't sprayed this chemical in 6 years, so maybe we'll look at that.
And I'm here to say that I'm opposed to the mosquito spraying, and I would hope that our county could step up and find better alternatives that would be less dangerous to our citizens, our bees, our pollinators, our endangered species, and our plants. I've been working for over the last year growing an organic garden in my backyard, and I would very much like for that garden to stay organic without any chemicals falling down from the sky to land in my yard. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, Osceola Board of County Commissioners. I'm here tonight to take a stand against the spraying of Naled and to take a stand for our community, to represent our farmers, beekeepers, children, wildlife, aquatic life, bees, other insects, for our food, our environment, and for all around health and well-being. I understand that you think the aerial spraying of Naled is safe because it has been done for years and has been around for decades, but that in itself does not make it safe. It is very common for us to find out things we once believed to be safe are actually harmful to us. Margarine, for example, lead paint, smoking, aspartame. There's a long list, but that's not why I'm here. Naled is why I'm here, and the other dangerous organophosphate pesticides, or OP, that you spray in the county. According to Terry Torrance, Mosquito Control Director in Osceola County, you have a robust, scientifically based program that is designed to protect the public. But how can that be when you are going off EPA reports which are completely outdated? Naled has not been thoroughly reevaluated in over a decade. Yet every petition and request for further studies against Naled and the other OPs have always been shut down or were conveniently granted emergency exemptions by the government. The EPA has been downplayed and contradicted severely. Has contradicted Naled in every independent study that has been done. They are ignoring the facts that Naled is severely toxic and potentially dangerous to spray, even in small amounts. Let's look at just what happened to the millions of bees in South Carolina that were killed. Naled does in fact soak into crops and gardens, destroys all organic credibility, kills bees, has destroyed butterfly populations, is harmful to aquatic life, and dangerous to poultry and ducks. Not to mention being a neurotoxin to humans and unborn children. Naled is easily ingested or absorbed into skin and gets into the bloodstream. It affects the nervous system, causing nausea, dizziness, confusion, and at very high exposures, respiratory paralysis, or even death. It is a severe skin and eye irritant, and it can be ingested on food or in water. But it is most harmful and potent if it is inhaled. Some studies have even suggested that it might have neurological and developmental effects on human fetuses, including brain size. The EPA's own website states, organophosphates are a class of insecticides, several of which are highly toxic, and all can potentially cause acute and subacute toxicity. Yet knowing how toxic these OPs are, there has not been any studies done to monitor the effects of a low dosage over a long period of time. Osceola County wrote in a recent statement that these planned treatments are exactly the same applications and rates we did last year at the same time with no negative effects. But I am wondering, how do you know there weren't any negative effects? Did you take reports from local hospitals, urgent care centers, and doctors' offices days, weeks, and even months after spraying? Has the county done any studies of the long-term effects of spraying Naled? Because the EPA has never done an assessment of the dangers for cancer over the multiple years of exposure to Naled. That is just irresponsible of the EPA and the CDC and our government. And yet you still take their word over the more recent scientific studies done by accredited universities such as Cornell. Just last week, Beyond Pesticides wrote a letter to the EPA asking for Naled to be reviewed, saying that it is an imperative to an updated risk assessment to be presented for public review and comment, especially since there are important outstanding data concerns regarding Naled and DDVP exposures to residential bystanders. And also that we ask the EPA immediately alert local and state officials around the country, to the fact that EPA's key data review on safety is incomplete and the scientific literature raises safety concerns. Now, if you take the time to look at what you're being told by the EPA, you'll see some very serious issues going on due to Naled. Officials of the United States and Europe disagree with the safety of Naled. The European Union has banned Naled in 2012 for potential and unacceptable risk to humans and the environment. And officials claim there is insufficient evidence that it worked well enough to justify the risks. The United States is often thought to be one step behind when it comes to the safety of its chemicals in food and the environment. Terry Torrance also told me that the mosquitoes are the #1 killer to mankind, so I Googled it. The World Health Organization claims the largest cause of death by mosquitoes is malaria. The CDC has concluded that malaria has been eradicated from the U.S. since the 50s, with few cases of malaria since. Then they try to claim it's from pesticide spraying, but the same spraying is not working in other countries. It's more likely because we are a developed country with an established infrastructure. It seems like there are always new scare tactics to convince us that spraying is necessary. What is it for this time? West Nile, malaria, EEE, Zika, mosquito population control? Who knows? Because over the years, your reasons have changed for spraying, but yet your actions have remained the same. At what point will you accept that Naled, even in small doses, could in fact be making the community sick with cancers, autism, nervous disorders, heart problems, Alzheimer's disease, and other serious health risks associated to exposure to Naled and the other OPs. There needs to be more research done. There may be many professionals in the mosquito industry that claim that the highest and best management practice, but unless Naled gets an up-to-date review and the studies the long-term health effects, we don't actually know what the effects are. It has to be taken into consideration that Naled is not only affecting us from the air we breathe, but from the food we eat as well, which is double the concern. I am not an environmentalist. I am not a scientist. I am a mom of 4 who moved out to the country to live on a lake, have chickens and ducks, grow an organic garden, and enjoy life. But I feel like that is being threatened by spraying. So I did a lot of research and saw that many others felt upset and concerned about Naled as well. So I started a petition against the spraying to bring us together, and over 300 people from near and far have signed that petition. My posts about Naled have reached over 33,000 people in just a matter of days, and they all share the same opinion that it's dangerous. The people in Osceola County are coming together to tell you we do not want the spraying of Naled, and so far you have ignored us. You've called us misinformed and plan to move forward with the spraying despite our pleas. At least give us the chance to opt out. Create a do not spray list. There has to be something. There has to be a better solution than spraying such a dangerous toxin for mosquito control. And as you know, the mayor of Orange County wrote to me that they do not spray Naled because they feel aerial spraying is not the most efficient or effective way to control the mosquitoes, so they have chosen not to do so, and that Orange County Mosquito Control has not utilized Naled as a control material at all in the last 5 years. And I understand your concern about controlling the mosquito population, but there has to be a safer way. We, as a community, a state, and a country, are trying to come together to let you know we are not happy with the current situation. For the sake of our environment, our health, and our future, we need to get the EPA to find a better way, and it needs to start somewhere. Think about the local farmers, beekeepers, and the people who want to live a more organic life and what you are forcing on them. I'm not saying don't spray, I'm just saying don't spray Naled or anything so potentially harmful. It is too outdated to be used, and it just adds to the list of dangerous chemicals that the government deems safe, yet fails to listen to all the independent studies when science proves it is not. Enough of the unnecessary risks being taken with our lives, our children's lives, and the environment without us getting a say. So please take this all into consideration when it comes time to spray. I appreciate the time you have given me to speak and represent the concerned citizens. I hope that we can find a compromise and a better solution. We understand that doing nothing for the mosquito population isn't an answer either, but we feel there are too many unknown dangers with Naled that are not being properly addressed and are not worth the risk. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, good evening. Just for the record, if you could please explain how long you've been doing the spraying, when we expect to do the next spraying, which I suspect is not going to be anytime soon with the weather that we're having, and what happens to Naled once it's sprayed.
So to answer your question about how long we've been doing this, Osceola County's been using Naled safely since the 80s. Chemical, like she said, has been in use since like the 1950s. It's the most prominently used control mechanism in the industry. And part of the reason for that is because it breaks down very quickly. And so to answer your question about how long does Naled persist in the environment, it actually has the shortest life of all of the chemicals that we have available to us. So for example, if Naled was taken off the table and we were to pick a different type of class of chemical that can be used in these types of situations, they actually would require a higher dose of chemical, and then that chemical would linger in the environment longer and have a whole lot more potential for cross-contamination, which is why, although the risk for Naled is higher, it's higher to the applicator. And so when you look at the MSDS sheets and you look at the label and all of the hazards associated with applying these types of chemicals, when you're loading the chemical, when you're the pilot, that if you're handling larger volumes of these chemicals, you have a high degree of personal protective equipment that you need. So the thing about Naled or Naled that is the reason why mosquito control districts prefer that is simply because it breaks down quicker we can use less of it to get control. It's not a product that builds up resistance in mosquitoes, because that's something that's happening in Puerto Rico as well. So when you use the same class of chemical over and over and over again, because mosquito control is such a needed service, that you can build up a resistance. And what's happened in Puerto Rico is those mosquitoes now have a resistance for permethrin. So Naled is actually the only chemical that will probably work over there. And the unfortunate thing about what happened over there is there was a lot of conspiracy theory and a lot of false things that were volleyed about, and they took the opportunity for Naled off the table, although they're planning on going back with it at some time in the future, but I don't understand it.
Okay, and somebody mentioned that countywide spraying. I thought that it was just mostly the rural section.
Yeah,
because of the animals and such.
Yeah, we don't do countywide spraying. We have the area broken up into what they call spray blocks. One of the things that's important about mosquito control and how we do our jobs is we have to know what's out there. So the EPA says that I can't just go routinely spray chemicals around wherever I want to. I have to have specific licenses to do it. But I also have to have what's called justification. So we set traps, mosquito traps with baits in them to catch mosquitoes, and we use that and we keep track of that data. So we use it to estimate the abundance of mosquitoes. And what that tells me is where my mosquito hotspots are. It's been helpful, our aerial missions weren't related to Zika, but when we've had some travel cases of Zika, one of the things that we do is we set traps over there and specifically look for Aedes albopictus and Aegypti, and if we saw large numbers, we went over there with a sweep team and went and dumped and drained and what have you. Because one of the things that I think isn't mentioned a lot when we talk about mosquito control is our industry is extremely, although it's not presented that way, environmentally friendly in terms of we do integrated pest management, which means the first thing we do is try to educate people. What do you need to know about mosquitoes in your environment? Can you dump? Can you drain? What about barriers like screens on your doors, things like that? So we teach people about that kind of stuff. We also then bring into use different types of mosquito control, like illusion fish and things like that. The larvicide we use is actually something called Bacillus thuringiensis, and what that is a pathogenic bacteria that's specific to just mosquito larvae. So by the time we get to using adulticides, we've tried everything else that we can. So we monitor the mosquito population, we know where that is, and when we do treatments, whatever types of treatments, if we don't find larvae, then we don't do larvicide. If we don't find adults, then we don't do adulticides. There was quite a few weeks over the summer that many of the zones in Osceola County didn't get any treatments at all. And specifically, these areas are prone to having these floodwater hatch-offs because of the mix of land uses in that vicinity, because of the swamps and pastures. Because what happens with those types of ecosystems is the egg-laying strategies of the mosquitoes are that they lay eggs for long periods of time when it hasn't rained, and when the rain comes in, it fills it up, and you'll have millions hatch simultaneously. And we've all been focused on Aedes albopictus and Aegypti, the Zika mosquitoes as they're now coined. Those lay eggs at 200 at a time. Floodwater mosquitoes lay over a period, it could even be a period of several years, and if water has not reached that point, when it finally does flood that, those eggs will all hatch simultaneously. And salt marsh mosquitoes are the same thing over on the coast. We don't have those here. Occasionally they'll fly in, but large hordes of mosquitoes, multi-millions of mosquitoes. That's when you go from having 5 and 10 mosquitoes in a trap to 6,000 and 8,000. And when you have that many mosquitoes in a given area of differing species, the likelihood of disease transmission is up. And that's when we bring out aerial applications to get quick knockdown. And Naled is the choice for that because of the fact that it doesn't persist in the environment. We use very, very small doses, a teaspoon over an acre. And it's atomized to such a size that when it comes in contact with the mosquito, it knocks it down. And it doesn't, it can't, like if a drop of the Naled was to come in contact with a bee's body size is much larger than a mosquito. So the technology, which is the droplet size, the timing, which is after dark, and the persistence, meaning it breaks down fairly quickly, is the reason why of all the options that we have, it's the best one that's out there.
Question. As far as are we aware of who are beekeepers in Osceola County? Is there a list of them, sort of licensing? So as far as like notification goes, if we do continue to use this product, that at least notification can be done?
Yeah, there's a Kissimmee Valley Beekeepers Association that I keep in contact with, Jessica Sullivan with the University of Florida. I keep in contact with her and email her whenever it looks like, if it looks like the weather's going to be good, when it's coming, when it gets closer, that sort of thing. So I send the information out to her. She has a Facebook page and some other things, and that's